Welcome back to another episode of Skid's Garage, and today we are giving my Escort a wash. So everything's all prepped up, ready to go. I'm going to see how much of this pigeon poo we can get off. So it's on there super hard. I'm going to see what a good scrub does. Even this stuff here, just not coming off. And a few bits and pieces on the bonnet, just all over the car. When sitting in a shed with pigeons, or it's actually been in two different sheds. Both sheds were infested by pigeons, so this thing's been smashed pretty hard. So I'm going to give it a wash and see if I can have it a little bit more presentable. So I've given it a pressure clean, and I honestly thought it would have done a better job getting this off, but this is really bad. It's there's bits like here which is actually peeling up the paint. Like, this has done all sorts of damage to the paint. Even the little bits on the door, I thought that would have come off a bit better. I reckon with a bit of a scrub I'll get a little bit more off, but this is going to be a lot more of an intense job than I first thought. Like, yeah, it's taken paint off, so yeah, the paint's not in great condition, but I'm going to see what I can do with what I've got. And yeah, because I don't want to spend too much on it. Like, I want to make it like reliable and as safe as I can, but I don't want to spend stupid amounts of money on it. So anyway, I'm going to get into scrubbing it and see if I have much more success on getting this pigeon poo off. So let's get stuck into that. So that's what it looks like now after a scrub. I'm not sure how well that's picking it up, but there's a lot of imperfections. For example, right there, that's bird shit. Right here, that's bird shit too. So it's nearly like it's become a part of the paint. Over the years, all this surface rust and everything has come up too, so I'm not sure what the easiest way of fixing that is. I don't want any of it to get too bad. Yeah, it's all over the body, so this is all just surface rust, obviously where the paint wasn't actually protecting the body, but it's not structural, so I want to get onto it before it becomes structural. And the worst of the bird shit is up here. This, it actually feels it's not even coming off on my hands. Like, I have no idea how I'm going to get that off, so I'm going to have to do some research. I think it honestly feels no different than this rust, so it's pretty bad. So, oh, the door as well. Door's got the, where it's ran down the door again. Nothing comes off the hand, so I have no idea how I'm gonna get it off yet. But that's after a scrub. See, I want to look as good as what the boot does. Boot's not perfect, but that's probably one of the better parts of the car. Obviously I need to fix that. That's structural. Typical spot for rust here on these cars. So that's something I need to fix. And I've got rust here on both sides. There's rust. There is rust through this car. There's a few little pinholes coming through the doors. Don't expect too much more, considering I've neglected it for so many years. So anyway, I'm going to try and find some ways to get this pigeon shit off and see if I can get this paint looking a little bit nicer, or the car in general just looking a little bit nicer. So this is what I'm going to give a try. Just a scrubbing brush on a drill. Got these here too. There, hopefully it's not going to do too much damage to the paint. Like, the paint's not great. I just don't want to make it any worse than what it already is. I want to try to make it better. So I'm going to try this, see if it works. With any luck, I'll start getting some of this pigeon shit off. I tried using that brush to clean some of this bird shit off, and I worked on this, for example, I worked on this particular spot. It's smooth, but not coming off. No, I'm working it to the point where it's starting to do some damage to the paint. Like, this paint's obviously not overly thick, you can see there. Starting to come through the paint, so the paint's coming off before the bird shit is. So I don't know, I think I'm gonna have to maybe find some chemical or something that's gonna eat away at this, but then I'm afraid it's gonna damage the paint. Like, yeah, the paint's not great, but I don't want to damage it any worse than what it already is. I want to make it better. So let me do some research. Let me work out what the best way to go about doing this is. And yeah, we'll get stuck straight back into it. So still battling with this bird poop. And I've gone over it again with a multi-purpose cleaner. It's done back here pretty good. Like, it did work, got a bit of the staining and stuff off, but the real hardened stuff that's sort of like etched into the paint is still been very stubborn. So I've got myself down here a degreaser, so I'll give that a go and see if that works any better. I'm slowly going a little bit more hardcore, so if this doesn't work, I'll take it up a step, and then if that doesn't work, I'll take it up a step, and you never know, I might end up leading to paint stripper. So let's give this a whirl. Spray some of it on there. So do that over the entirety of the roof and let it sit, and hopefully you'll start breaking it up. So let's see how we go. So using that degreaser, not sure how well you can see it on the camera, but you can see it's working quite well. So bit of surface rust, and it's just cleaning it up nice. Where's another spot? Right here. So it's cleaning it up. You can see, well, you can see off camera, not sure if you can see it on camera, but the degreaser is starting to turn like a very light brown colour, so it's obviously eating up something. And that's just a quick section I've done. So I'm giving all this a good soak, letting it have plenty of time to penetrate. Fingers crossed I'll have some success with it. So I'm going to keep getting stuck into it, and fingers crossed I'll start getting some good results. So that's worked well on the back half. So that's the back half, and that's the front half. Haven't done the front half yet, still sort of letting it soak. But the back half, it's eating away all that, just that surface rust that's, yeah, been a bit of a hindrance. So yeah, it's eating it up fairly well. There's some bird poos on there that are been a little stubborn, but I'll keep working on that. But overall, that's coming up really well. So let's see if it works just as well for the second half, because that's the part that actually really needs to be done. So let's keep getting stuck into it, and yeah, let's get this done. So the right hand side has been done. It's worked a lot better than anything previously, and then the left hand side is what it used to look like. So do a shot from back here. So the left hand side, right hand side I've done. Left hand side needs to be done. You can see there's a difference there. So a lot of elbow grease, and I might get this done. So let's keep digging into it. So I've read somewhere, try using baking soda, add water to it and make a paste, and then massage that into the paint. I've squirted this down so it's looks wet. So I've done up to about here. So if you have a look, it's looking a lot better, but I'm still having a lot of trouble with these pieces here. So it's made a huge difference. Like you can see up here is about where I stopped, and I went right back to the door here. So that section's coming up much nicer. That baking soda worked quite well, but not quite well enough. So I'm going to just try using some cutting compound and see if that ends up getting me my final result. So I'm going to get stuck into that and see what the results are. So I've been trying to overcome this pigeon poo on the paint, and even though a lot of the techniques I've been using have been working to an extent, there's still a lot of work to be done. Now, a lot of the techniques I was using, like you can see here, it's far from perfect, but significantly better than the rest. For example, up here, because that's the section I've been using as a sample with all these other techniques I've been using, and it's not quite to the level I was after. So what I'm going to do, because I don't have enough grease in my elbows to get this done, is I've got the big gun out. So I'm going to use some polish, and I'm going to polish it up and see if I can get these imperfections out, make it look a little bit nicer at least, and hopefully not damage the paint, because I know this paint's quite thin. Just giving it a wash, paint was coming off, so we're going to give that a whirl. Fingers crossed I've got paint left, and we'll see what this roof looks like once I'm done. Once I've got the roof to a standard that I want, and I know the easiest way to get it to a good standard, I'm going to use that technique across the rest of the car. So I'm going to chuck you on the tripod, and let's see how this roof comes out. So you can see the spot I've polished up to this line up here and to about here, and it really isn't bringing up any of these little imperfections. Like, I'm no detailer. I was hoping you'd get some of these larger chunks off, but all I've done is made them like silky smooth now. So I'm getting a little lost as to how to get this paint back to a reasonable condition. Well, not so much get the paint back to a reasonable condition, just get rid of all the pigeon crap off it, all the bird poo, and all these little imperfections. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm going to just keep battling into it and try a few different techniques, and when I find a technique that works, I'll share it with you. So yeah, let's see what I find that works. So I just sucked it up and went back to trying to use that bicarb soda in a paste. So what I'm mixing it with, whether it's making any difference than actual water, is this interior cleaner, and it seems to be coming up quite well. It's just a lot of elbow grease. So you can see a little bit of paint starting to show through. Oh, I mean, some of the undercoat or body or whatever it is under the paint. Some of it's starting to show through. And there are still some bits, like here, like that bird poo that's not coming off. So I've said bugger it. It's time for viewers to cringe, because I'm using this CT14, and I've used this under my, you can see my panel vans currently on stands. I've actually used this underneath, and it absolutely just melted away the 50 years worth of road grime or whatever was under it. This stuff works. This stuff works awesome. So got in a spray bottle. Mind you, I don't mess about. It's just a concentrate. Give it a slight little spray. Don't want to use too much because this stuff is super strong. I don't want to just destroy the paint too much. Then I massage it in. I've done a test on some other bits of bird poo. Like, I don't know if you remember, but there was a big piece here, and I used this CT14 on it, and it comes off. Doesn't come off easily, but it does come off. Anyway, I'll keep tackling it. Well, you might actually see there, it's starting to turn a bit yellowish because that's all the poo coming up, and it's coming off. I just got to be careful to not go through the paint, and to wash it off after with some water. So I'm going to get stuck into that, and we'll see what this, because I'm working off this quarter, so this driver's front quarter up to the pillar here, to the middle, and back again to here. I'm using that as a, like a, I guess a testing part, testing section to see what works, and then I'll do it to the rest of the roof and then onto the body. So we'll see what this section looks like once I'm finished. Hopefully I've still got paint left. So I got this part of the roof to a standard I'm happy with for the meantime. So if you see that, pretty much all the, you can actually see the line at where it starts and finishes, so you can see the difference. All these little imperfections, they're all chips and stuff from the paint, and pretty much that's the most of the bird poo still left on it. So that degreaser I was using want to try to avoid using it because I'm not sure if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it on camera there, right there. It stains the paint. I knew I shouldn't have used it, but curiosity got the better of me. But anyway, that was a real intense scrub down with baking soda, plenty of elbow grease, and then a quick once over with just some cutting compound polish, and that's how it's come up. So I'm going to get stuck onto the rest of the roof. I don't want to bore you too much, so what I'll do, you see how I've done this section. I don't need to run through the whole lot with yous and bore yous. So I'll do the rest of the roof and I'll show you what the rest of the roof looks like once done. So the roof is now done to a standard that I'm happy to move on to the rest of the car. That is significantly better than what it was. Lots of imperfections in the paint where the paint's peeled. I reckon a lot of the bird poo did that. So take me as an example and don't let bird poo sit on your car, because it does, in fact, damage your paint. Obviously imperfections here. That obviously needs more extensive work done to it other than just a clean. So what I ended up doing was contacting a mate of mine who's in fact a car detailer, and I'm like, hey man, my car's got all this bird shit on it, having trouble getting it off. I've tried all these different techniques, what do you suggest? And he suggested simply multi-purpose cleaner and clay bar. So that's what I've done. Obviously the main part I did with that bicarb soda and everything, and try to get it off that way. That's a technique that worked quite well. But just to get that final finish to where it's at now, I end up just a multi-purpose cleaner and clay bar. And it's done pretty good. So I'm ready to now give it a polish. Well, I'll clean the rest of the car first, but then I'll give it a polish just to try to protect the little bits of paint that's left on it. Hopefully tidy up little sections like that. And yeah, then it'll be significantly more presentable. Okay, so I know I ran over this with the bicarb soda and then gave it a polish, but I got given the suggestion to run over it with some Gumption. So I've done that, and it's got rid of all those small little surface rust that was on the body. So now it's just pretty much bare metal that's from the peeled paint. And that's how the ends come up. So you can see how much better that's come up. If you remember all the rust that was on that, that's all pretty much gone. So if you're in a position I was in and wanted your paint, keep in mind you got to be careful because it does damage your paint. You can see there, if it focuses, it starts wearing down the paint. You can see along here on the edges it was wearing my paint down, so you got to be careful. That Gumption is fairly abrasive, but it's come up really well. It actually does need a probably a professional sand and buff, because you can see a bit of an outline of where the pigeon shit and everything was on it. Otherwise, yeah, it's come up pretty good. So that's Gumption. All my previous methods, plus a finish of Gumption, and then a polish. So if I want to go any further than this, I'm going to have to get it probably professionally done, or I could try it myself, but I'm just really not that invested. I'm just going to try to protect it with some polish now and get on to the rest of the car. So the rest of the car has been done with Gumption. In fact, this side's actually been polished. So a little sneak peek for those interested. That'll be coming up in a future episode. So I'd just like to say thanks for watching, and I'll see yous on the next episode of Skid's Garage.